does, can, and will a Kundalini awakening defy the law of gravity? And how so? We did an earlier post on this, so just to elaborate a little bit about that, let's go back to basics. Our body consists of the 5 elements, as does the entire manifest creation as far as we are aware of, right? Now, in all of this, we are 72% water. So the highest element in us is water. And one thing you'll notice, and you must already be aware of if you're on a spiritual awakening path, right, is that you can change the structure of water. You can change the nature of water by thought, by looking at it, right, by placing your hands over it. And whilst you're on the path, and whilst we're talking about water, do you leave your water, a glass of water or bottles of water uncovered, or do you cover them? What comes to you naturally? Now, when you're on this path, some of you will want to shift from drinking tap water to drinking filtered or distilled water, right? And some of you will cover your water quite religiously. You will want to keep your water covered at all times. And if by chance your water has been left uncovered, rather than you drink it, you may pour it into the plants or discard it all together. Because any water that remains exposed, it imbibes the vibrations of that place and it will take in whatever there is over there, which is why one of the remedies that we have to absorb any density in the air or any vibes that you don't want in your house is usually salt water. Or if you want to get rid of any pains, again, you want to relax, what do? We advise salt water. Now, most of us is made of water. Now, during a Kundalini awakening, the Kundalini energy itself starts to transform everything, so much so that the ether element, so out of the 5, 4 of these elements, they can go up, down in terms of the composition, but not too much. We're never ever going to be 90% water or 100% water. You know, those other 4 elements will more or less, they will stay consistent, whereas ether can be expanded, right? Akasha can be expanded. So when you go through your spiritual awakening or your Kundalini awakening, the way that it defies the law of gravity is that there becomes more Akasha inside of you, right? You're able to now transcend and you're able to increase the level of Akasha. Now, have you ever not eaten for a long, long time? So maybe a few days, weeks, right? A few weeks. Maybe you've just had water, right? And you'll find that it is not that your body is not getting sustenance. Your body can still receive sustenance because we are not just 4 elements, we are 5. So the body will also receive sustenance from prana, from outside, from Akasha, from sun, right? You must have heard of the breatharians, people who live off just breath, right? These are people who don't eat. And there are people who don't eat solid food. They will prefer a liquid diet. There are people who, for days, might just have dates, might just have, something or the other, but it will not affect them negatively. If anything, it helps us. So back to this, Kundalini, because it's releasing density, so earth is being released back into earth. The water that we carry, that 72% of water, our emotions, our pain body, right? So many of you release so many tears during this time. So there's a lot of cleansing of that water as well, right? So our energy starts to move move more comfortably. As all of this is happening, we are able to then penetrate into the ether. We're able to penetrate into the akasha, and therefore we become lighter. Now, this is where some of you or either have experienced or know of others who have or have heard of this is we levitate. One of the siddhis that comes from this is that of levitation, that you're able to lift yourself off of the ground because that gravitational pull no longer exists. You don't need to be pulled down so much because now, if anything, there is a compression that is pushing you upward. And even when you do your orbit and you come back down, it will not hold you down, right? So that you're not able to float. I hope you are with me, right? So the Kundalini energy itself creates more akasha, right? Your spiritual awakening is giving you more space. We are creating space. We're making ourselves more hollow, right? You've seen birds, they fly. And how can they fly? Because they are so hollow. There's less density in a bird and they are more hollow. So as we become more and more hollow, right? So we become hollow and we are then able to traverse the animal in us, to the human in us, to the divine in us, to the universal consciousness, to pure consciousness. You're able to come into this pure place from which you can then witness this 3D, this third dimension that we are in, right? So that is when you're now operating from the fifth dimension. So the fifth dimension is all about you increasing the akasha element inside of you. Lots of love. Please take care of yourselves. If there's any questions, please drop me a comment, right? And do share what your experience is. Remember, don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone else's word for any of these experiences because you are a direct communicator. You're able to directly receive wisdom and you're able to access the akasha yourself, right? All we've got to do is release that density, right? So we don't need to use so much of that fire. Instead, you use that fire, control that fire, let it work inward so that we can burn off any karma. We can burn off any vrittis and our chitta can be clean, pure consciousness for us to then transcend and ascend. So much love.